back like the seats of an 86 Delta 88 coupe on D's and Bones, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Going live in a minute, Blizzard King. This is Winter Dennis Sperling Podcast. You are rocking with the realest black men represented. Ain't no lies, cause we winning. Catching flies, ain't no feelings. Uncle D, we the villain, baby. We just left the village, baby. Now we in them villas, baby. Dennis Sperling Podcast, tuning in, we get it, baby. You can hate the player, hate the game. We love all you haters. Hate watch, hate watch. Calling lovely ladies, hands on your knees. You can thank us later. We snatching the crowns off of queens. We obliterate them. Tell the truth, shame the devil. They trying to eliminate us. You begging the sipping haters. Peeling layers off potatoes. Whoa. Southern Cadillac music like Outkast. Ain't jumping without bass. Dennis Sperling Podcast. Whoa. Southern Cadillac music like Outkast. Ain't jumping without bass. Dennis Sperling Podcast. Whoa.
We have to clean up what's going on in our house before we do anything else. Have pride in yourselves. Don't be so hard on yourselves. That's the other thing. Don't let this world keep kicking you and making you feel like you're not good enough. You plenty. I don't care if you're 10 pounds, 50 pounds overweight, 30 pounds underweight. You don't make enough money. You make too much money. You're too tall. You're too short. You're perfect the way you are. And I want you brothers to begin to take that. A lot of you guys did not have father figures to reinforce these things in you. You don't have that manly, fatherly love supporting you in the back of your head saying, son, you can go out there. The world is yours. I'm not your father's, but I love you like I'm your own uncle. We all want people. And so I'm telling you, brothers, I love you as a person that most people would say is successful. I'm telling you the opportunity is out there. And most of you guys are doing much better than I was at your age. You're more confident. You got the world, you got the benefit of people like me who've made mistakes. And I want to see you ball. That's it.
Praise God, Bohende! God bless you, Carl.
Now, you see, Father, Master got us working on Sunday. I just want to know who go to hell for it.
I think you'll be okay.
Good.
Tula! Would you join us in Holy Communion?
I'm no longer interested in anything your God has for me.
When hip-hop started, it's Latino and black.
Hip-hop, we created just us. We ain't see you in the back of the bus. Black and brown, what? Nah, you ain't fuck with us. Outside, watch ride, yeah, get in touch. Watch from the sideline, cosplaying us. Till them cops roll up, pistols off the bus. Wear your homeland clothes while you dressing like us. Till your money grow up, now you holding nuts. Everybody wanna play us, till it's really time to be us. Fleeing niggas, feet in the dust. Funeral procession, just us. Reparations, cash payment, baby, just us. Who you think built this shit, just us? You was in your homeland, you was getting fucked. We was shedding blood, fighting here, just us. How you think you got here, nigga, just us? Caribbeans and Africans, you ain't doing much. Ain't nobody hating FBA, we doing us. They be doing us, you be doing us. Now you talking like you the ones who made it up. Nigga, we special, got the guy like touch. People wanna dance, even vibe like us. Till it's time to stand up and die like us. Ain't nobody story who survived like us. We are Americans, we are inheritors, ancestors' children. The land of the slave, ever brave architect, we built the buildings. When they speak of the scriptures, yeah, we are the children. FBA all day, remember the blood that they spilled. Rock and roll country music, just us. The very first cowboys, nigga, look it up. Rewrite history, they wanna type it up. Flood us with these immigrants, they wanna white it up. Colonizing rap, who control the image, huh? Ain't no message in the music, so we get stuck. So if it's stuck, then it's stuck. When you play with devils, then you end up like Puff. Brother, ain't no love, you become a porn fluff. Now you do the biddings of the ones who broke you up. We call it bug breaking, you the one that's played the buck. Nigga, you a cuck, if it quacks like a duck, then nigga, it's a duck. Funeral procession, just us. Reparations, cash payment, baby, just us. Who you think built this shit? Just us. You was in your homeland, you was getting fucked. We was shedding blood, fighting shit, just us. How you think you get here, nigga? Just us. Caribbeans and Africans, you ain't doing much. Ain't nobody hating FBA, we doing us. They be doing us, you be doing us. Now they talking like you the ones who made it up. Nigga, we special, got the godlike touch. People wanna dance, even vibe like us. We are Americans, we are inheritors, that's us as children. Land of the slave, ever brave architect, we built the buildings. When they speak of the scriptures, yeah, we are the children. FBA all day, remember the blood that is spilled.
What you my simplistically. So there won't be no more acting let you hammer rain. So there
In a minute, Blizzard King, this is Winter, Dennis Sperling podcast. You are rocking with the realest black men represented. Ain't no lies, cause we winning, catching flies, ain't no feelings. Uncle D, we the villain, baby. We just left the village, baby. Now we in them villas, baby. Dennis Sperling podcast, tuning in, we get it, baby. You can hate the player, hate the game. We love all you haters. Hate watch, hate watch. Calling lovely ladies, hands on your knees. You can thank us later. We snatching the crowns off of queens, we obliterate them. Tell the truth, train the devil, they trying to eliminate us. You begging us, haters, peeling layers off potatoes. Whoa, Southern Cadillac music like Outkast. Ain't jumping without bass. Dennis Sperling podcast. Whoa, Southern Cadillac music like Outkast. Ain't jumping without bass. Dennis Sperling podcast.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome everybody. Welcome to the broadcast. Hit the number one button, man. We got a barn burner tonight. Shout out to Mr. 43TX for being the first one in. I'm an old man now. Mr. 43TX turns 39 today. Hey, man, you a young man. What are you talking about? 39? Come on, man. You ain't even got there yet. It's not greater till later. Until when you turn 40, that's when you officially start enjoying yourself, man. Your prime years are going to be between 35 and 55. That's when you're going to make your most money, man. So enjoy it tonight. Shout out to Mr. 43TX. Thank you so much for the support. I'm a brave rock and roll, brother. Happy birthday to you, brother. Happy birthday to you. That is outstanding. But we got a serious conversation today, tonight, wherever you are around the world, man. First, I want to acknowledge my guys in the wrench mob, man. Everybody who has a wrench, go ahead and hit the wrench. Let me know, man. Somebody let me know you're here by typing "we here." All my members, big shout out to David Dice. Thank you so much. I'm gonna make sure I give you a shout out a little later on. I want to say thank you so much for your contributions. So you guys see the title. I'm not hiding from it. You understand? We when Tethers attacked Amrou Bugatti Tate and Myron Umari Fudl gangs, brothers. We got to have a serious conversation about this. Now, here's the thing I want you to understand, and I want you guys to begin to understand. I am Black American. I am culturally Black American. What that means is I was raised as a foundational Black American. And for you guys who know, I recently discovered that I actually have some Caribbean roots. Never knew that my biological father was a man from the Caribbean. Nevertheless, my loyalties are not torn. If I have to push between who am I and whose side I'm on, I am 100% down with foundational Black Americans, because that's the people that raised me. That's my mama's people. That's the people, baby. Mississippi is a state that I claim. I thought my other side of the family was from North Carolina. You know, I done had some good times in Enfield, North Carolina at the family reunion. And I done had some great times in Mississippi down there going to the Jackson State, Grambling State University games right off I-20. My experience as a African on this planet is that of a foundational Black American. So my loyalties are not divergent. Straight up. Somebody type FBA in the chat room. Somebody type FBA in the chat room. Now, that being the case, even when I have something to say about Black American women, I don't call them B's and H's. Sometimes I will refer to them in a manner that is fly. But you guys know me for referring to Black American women as lovely ladies. Why? Because I know all kinds of people listen to my broadcast. And what I wouldn't want them to do is take my words as a foundational Black American man and use them against Black women. Maybe I don't like what they're doing. And matter of fact, I don't like what some of the Pookie and Ray Rays amongst us are doing. But see, I can talk about my people. You cannot talk about my people. That's what you need to understand. Just like I don't go and talk about Hispanic women in a derogatory manner. I don't talk about white women in a derogatory manner. I don't talk about women from Africa in a derogatory manner. Those are your people. So don't come over here talking about my people. And that's what I need you all to understand. So now we got a situation where we're going to take a deep dive into the subject that touches the core of many of our lives, and that is understanding the multifaceted nature of racial identity, particularly for those of us who are Black, whether you be foreign or whether you be American, whether you be Caribbean or whether you be biracial. Now, this isn't just about knowing where you've come from. It's about understanding how our unique background shapes who we are in a society that often wants to put us in a box. We're going to explore the triumphs and the trials of historical figures who navigated these waters, but also we're going to unpack the psychological and social impacts of being both biracial and a foreign Black. Okay, it's about more than just color of your skin. It's about the narratives that have been woven into your identity by your society and yourself. And so by the end of this, you'll have a clear vision of how to harness your identity as a source of strength and how to navigate challenges it brings. But most importantly, how to walk through this world well understood and empowered, and more importantly, who we are as a foundational Black American people. Now, Andrew Tate. Somebody type top G in the chat room. Somebody type Andrew Tate in the chat room. Okay. Now, this is already a controversial young man. Okay. He recently has been throwing around the N-word. And I'm not talking about with the A at the end. I'm talking about with the hard R. Okay. And he's been doing this recklessly and making disparaging remarks about Black people's culture, specifically our holiday of Juneteenth, which just passed. He referred to Juneteenth, the day that Black men and women who were enslaved in the South, specifically the Southern United States, learned that the Emancipation Proclamation had been signed by President Lincoln. He referred to Juneteenth as a ratchet N-word holiday with the ER. That sounds really KKK-ish to me. You see? Now, here's the thing about this fella, and I know some of you all his fans, and you know, I know my children listen to the dude because he was everywhere for a minute, and many of us were very surprised that Andrew Tate said those things because you thought this dude was a rider. You know, we thought he was okay. He's biracial, but his daddy's Black. Dad must have trained him well. What about we thought that's what we thought. Now, so I was shocked to hear that. Now, these comments have not only caught the eye of the good brother Tariq Nasheed. Somebody typed the good brother Tariq Nasheed. But it also sparked a backlash from major Black American stars like 50 Cent, questioning the audacity of his racial disrespect. In fact, 50 Cent said, who let this white boy talk? Because the truth is, we all thought that Andrew Tate was just a white boy. And for a white boy, he would be pretty cool. We thought he was a white boy with a tan over there in Europe doing his thing. All right. And, you know, the thing you have to understand is that people like Andrew Tate, or somebody type Bugatti man. Somebody type Bugatti man. People with mixed heritage, they learn to leverage their racial animosity towards black people for personal short-term gain. And they don't care that they're alienating their potential support base amongst the black community, which will actually have a long-term effect, something we're going to talk about. Whether you're a black woman who lived in antebellum South and you did what you had to do by way of selling out and snitching and telling about the different slave riots that were about to happen, they learned to leverage that racial animosity that white folks have, and they parlay that into a better position for themselves. Now, Andrew Tate is biracial. And when I say biracial, I mean he had a black American father and he had a white mom. His father was from Gary, Indiana, with roots in Alabama and Mississippi. So he is legitimately a foundational black American. And the truth is, between Alabama and Mississippi, it really doesn't get much blacker than that unless you bring Georgia in, okay? Between Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and I'm gonna say northern Louisiana, because I'm not gonna even include South Louisiana in that. That's about the blackest you can get. But anybody who has Mississippi roots, we know what you went through, okay? So he has a genetic pass to be black, but the thing is, he's not culturally black. His mom is a white woman from the UK. And history shows that there's racial opinion, that people who have those biracial heritages, their racial opinions can go either way. They can go from one extreme to another. Somebody type extreme in the chat rooms. Somebody type extreme in the chat rooms. All right. Either they can be extremely pro-black, like Minister Farrakhan and Frederick Douglass, who was an abolitionist at a time when it was dangerous. You see what I mean? For black men to do anything other than say, yes, boss. And, or they could start, we'll say this, C00IN with an apostrophe. All right. And you see that's what Tate is doing. Now, some biracial people, as I said, they embrace that pro-black stance. And like I said, Frederick Douglass was mixed heritage, and he leveraged his position as an intelligent man who freed himself from slavery to fight vigorously for the anti-slavery movement and the rights of black people in America. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, his mama was Jamaican. His dad was allegedly a white sea captain. Okay, and those of you guys who've been to Jamaica, you know there are a lot of mixed race people not down there. Not everybody looks like Usain Bolt. Okay, you have Jamaicans who are literally, they look as white as can be. So it's a very mixed race, and it's very common throughout the Caribbean islands. Okay, so but here's the thing: when you have those mixed race people who basically push forward the rights for black people, a lot of them often they see their advocacy as a crucial part of their identity and aligning themselves with the struggle against racial injustice and inequality. That's what they're doing. And this can be seen as a form of embracing and protecting the part of their identity that society may view as marginalized or oppressed. Now, on the other hand, you have biracial people like Andrew Tate, who might express views that align with the opposing ideologies. All right. And when you say stuff like Juneteenth is a ratchet N-word holiday, and I'm saying N-word with the hard R, that's pretty clear. Now, Tate's comments and his actions, they're at odds with what we call supporting black empowerment or challenging racial injustice. And what we know he was doing was C00ING, okay? And when you use that pejorative to describe black people or the things associated with black people, people, and of course, he has a predominantly white audience who listen to him. You see, so he's making this statement at the expense of our racial dignity, our solidarity, and the black community. Again, let me run this back to you. I might say a lot of things about foundational Black Americans, and I'm talking about our culture. Our people are just people. We have a ratchet culture. I can say what I want to say about my people. Because when I say it from a place of love. I love my people. Even these ignorant ass Black women on here who don't like what I'm saying, they know I'm talking to them and talking to them the same way their fathers and their granddaddies and the other men who love them. They don't like to hear what I say, but at the end of the day, I want them to be better. You would never hear me saying Juneteenth is a ratchet N-word holiday. That is just totally disrespectful to our people. And there is a line. More importantly, I'm foundational Black American by culture and by love and by family and by genetics. And so it's a different vibe. Now, here's the thing. And if y'all with me, hit the number 1 button. I know I'm moving fast. We got a lot. This is a very important lesson, and I want y'all to take this and roll with it. Okay. Now, some of you all you adhere to Christianity. I'm a proud Southern Baptist. My grandma raised me Southern Baptist. So, you know, I have to always go back to the scripture. Somebody type hallelujah in the chat room. Somebody type hallelujah in the chat room. Now, the scripture is something that it is what all the laws are based on. Okay, if you don't believe this wasn't a Christian country when it was in its inception, then you foolish. And the scripture teaches us not to trust fence sitters. Somebody type lukewarm in the chat room, okay? The Bible actually speaks upon people who are of two cultures, or the common colloquial term half-breeds, or biracial, as we say. And I believe it says something like these illegitimate children, these mixed race children, they shouldn't be allowed to our assembly down to the 10th generation. Think about that, 10 generations? We haven't even been enslaved for 10 generations. And they're saying that those who are basically two minds, two masters, two cultures, they shouldn't even be allowed to associate with the chosen people for 10 generations, right? Think about that. Even the Bible understood that. Somebody type 10 generations in the chat room. Now, we often say that and I'm talking about the Bible, so I'm gonna refer back to it, but I want you to understand that the Bible does say you are of your father. So technically, that would mean people like Andrew Tate is a Black man. But what if you're raised by your mother's side of the family, like he was? See, that doesn't work in a society where the father is not in a non-patriarchal society. It doesn't work when the mother has custody, because the Bible contemplated that the father would have custody of the children. In fact, during those time periods, the father was literally the owner of the children. He could do with them what he wanted. He could sell them. He could alienate them if he wanted to. But so the Bible contemplated that the father would raise his children. So yes, you would be of your father. But what happens when you're raised by your mother and your mother is a white woman? That white woman is going to spawn a racist. And that's what you see happening in Andrew Tate. Now, why is it that biracial men have to be forced to pick sides? Some of you are saying, well, they should be able to pick and choose. They should be able to pick and choose. No, because in them forming their individual opinions, there's a danger proven throughout history that occurs, because they have been used as weapons of war against indigenous Black populations. It happened in the Caribbean. If you look at Chancellor Williams' destruction of Black civilization, these biracials, these people who are of two minds and two people and two cultures, have always chosen the dominant, or not always, but for the most part, they've chosen the dominant society en masse, and they've turned against their own people. You see? Now, the thing is, we have to understand that, and I want y'all to hear this, because some of you all think that Andrew Tate is playing some sort of 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional chess. You think he's just gaming the system. You think he's a hustler. Tell the truth. Y'all think he's a hustler. I think he's a hustler too. And some people are saying, well, he's just doing it for attention. And that's the way he's doing it. He's doing it for money. He's been quiet for a while. He need to get his likes and views up, right? And yeah, he might be hustling. He might just be attention whoring. He might be doing it for shock value. But here's the thing. After that comment and the company that this man keeps and he runs with and the type of people, his fan base, mostly white boys who take all of his messages seriously, we have to, as Black Americans, address this and rebuke it. Okay? We got to think about that. And then here's the other thing I want to challenge y'all with. When has Andrew Tate ever spoken on Black issues? I've never heard him specifically speak about Black issues. He's never said anything positive about Black people or Black issues. And this is why this comment is something like a nuclear bomb. Look, you got to understand something, man. Why would the first thing out of his mouth be something this derogatory? You want to demean one of our greatest holidays that our founders celebrate. You wouldn't do that if we were Jewish. You wouldn't do that if we were Romanian. You wouldn't do that if we were Chinese, Middle Eastern. You wouldn't do that, but you do it to Black Americans. So why is that? Okay. Now, here's the thing. And I'm here to try to help you all understand. So we're going to look at this objective also. All right, there's reasons behind some of the diverse statements, we'll say, when it comes to biracial people, and because they're multifaceted. People like that, their experience with racism and acceptance and rejection from their racial communities, it profoundly affects their self-identity and their public stance, like the dynamics within the family and the attitudes of the parents or the parent. That has a lot to do with their attitudes towards race. Whether they're Black or not, if you have a parent from another culture, it's going to significantly shape your racial identity. Again, his father was a Black man who married and had children, multiple children, by a white woman. I tell you, brothers, all the time. What do I tell you? What is my preference for you, brothers? My preference is that you men marry women of African descent. I tell you that all the time. And in my wisdom, in my forethought, in my time here on this planet, there's a reason why. I tell you oftentimes that life is easier when you marry a woman of African descent. Whether she be Caribbean African, African from the African continent, Black American, wherever she be, life is easier when you marry a Black woman, especially on your children, because they don't necessarily come from two minds now. They're still Black. Okay? Now, if you can't find an African woman, I'm going to tell you, hey, you're a grown man. Do what's in your best interest. I'm going to love you all the way. But I come from the understanding that you will be raising those children and you will not allow them to get separated from their African-centered selves. Okay? You see? Nevertheless, this man, Mr. Andrew Tate's dad, is a Black man that married a white woman. So what does that tell you about his racial attitudes? I believe Andrew Tate was born in 1990, which means this was back in the 80s when he decided to hook up with this white woman from London. And here's the thing about it. Andrew Tate, his mother and father, end up separating. And dad stayed here in the U.S. Mom moved to London. Apparently there was some issues, some financial issues. And mom was like, well, I can be broke back in London in my hometown and with my people. And that's what she did. So he basically was raised by a single mom in London in a foreign country. So just keep that in mind. All right. Yeah, somebody said he was born in 86. Right. Yeah, I get it, man. But bottom line is it was back then. Things were different. It wasn't 2024. And so, you got to understand, what is this man's mindset? You think we coming out of the Black Power movement. We got a man who's from, Generation X. It says a lot, or maybe he was a little older. It says a lot that he would go marry a white woman. It just says a lot. You can infer from that what you will. You inferred about Black men who marry white women now. Imagine back then. Just there you go. Okay. Now, here's the thing you have to understand. In a society where we have this racial caste system, Society often imposes rigid racial categories and expectations on folks. Okay, and this can lead to internal conflicts or even external expressions that may seem counterintuitive. Imagine being raised as a black biracial boy from the United States whose daddy is from Ohio by way of Mississippi / Alabama in London. Okay, when problems by his white mother, that means that in his upbringing, many of his coping mechanisms, they were not passed down from him by his black father to his black sons. Rather, his coping mechanisms were passed down to him by a white woman teaching him what he should know or what she thought he should know as how to operate in this world as a black man. So those lessons in survival and coping with a racist society did not come from a black man who had experience as a black man. We tell women all the time, you don't know what it's like to be a black man, and you certainly can't raise a black man. So imagine being a white woman from London trying to raise a black boy in London who's from America. Just think about that. Okay, so for many biracial individuals, life is a continuous journey of exploring and trying to reconcile the different parts of their heritage. And this exploration, it can lead to a wide array of outcomes in terms of how they choose to identify and express themselves publicly. Andrew Tate is still relatively young. I think he might just have hit 40. I'm not sure. And he's still learning to cope with his identity. And he's been foisted into the public eye, willingly or whatever. He's dealing with it. So we see him making mistakes and making errors. But here's the thing. We want to try to understand this behavior and the public statements of this biracial man, Andrew Tate. And to do so, it requires a more in-depth understanding of the complexities. Mixed biracials, you have to understand they are likened to their own race of people. They have their own slurs, their own stereotypes, and more important, they catch heat from everybody. They get heat from both sides. They are neither black, they're neither white. If you're Asian, you're neither white, you're neither Asian, you're whatever it is. They're catching heat from everywhere. Biracials often face a unique set of psychological challenges due to their mixed race heritage, especially in societies where racial lines are sharply drawn and heavily emphasized. See, in America, you either white or black. If you're not white, you're not black, you're Arab, you're Asian, or you're Latino. You're not from Panama, you're Latino. You're not from Mexico, you're Latino. Okay. Matter of fact, they use Latino and Mexican interchangeably. You can be from the Dominican Republic, and as far as some of these folks are concerned, you're still a Mexican. All right. But more importantly, if you're white, you're not black. If you're black, you're not white. Everybody holds that line. Now, biracial people, they struggle with developing a stable, coherent sense of identity. The standard racial categories force them to choose between one race or another. Here you are filling out the Census Bureau, and they got black, non-black, Hispanic, non-Hispanic, white, Asian, South Pacific Island, and other. And you down there filling out the other, because if they have a other section. So a lot of these biracial folks feel as though they need to align with, one of their heritage. And if they do that, then they do it at the expense of their other heritage. And that leads to confusion and tension. Somebody write confusion and tension in the chat room. You see? Because see, in this self-perception and how they're perceived by others, they're trying to conform. Now, society often imposes its own narratives and expectations on biracial people based on their physical appearance. They may be perceived as belonging more to one racial group than another, or they might be expected to pick a side. Somebody type pick a side in the chat room. Somebody type pick a side in the chat room. And what does this do? This leads to what? Frustration and confusion and feeling of not being fully accepted by either group. So they're not accepted by black, they're not accepted by white. And this psychological phenomenon occurs when people feel that they're not enough. Somebody type not enough in the chat room. Not enough of any of their ethnic backgrounds to lay claim to any of them. Yeah, they are just racially ambiguous. And in a society where race matters, being racially ambiguous means you don't matter. And that's hard to deal with. So these biracial folks might feel that they're not authentically represented in any part of their heritage. And that makes them feel inadequate. That makes them feel alienated. Biracial people, they face a lot of microaggressions every day. Subtle, unintentional, and dismissive, but every day. Every day. Every day they're dealing with some sort of interaction that is indirectly prejudicial towards them. And it's particularly insidious and damaging over time. And it affects their mental health and their well-being. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of stress. Now let's go back to Andrew Tate. What was his life like growing up in London? Being a poor black boy from America who was working at the time as a teenager with a funny accent. And your mom is a single mom who's English. So you're neither white nor black. You're not even a Londoner. You're an American, so you're a foreigner. What was this man's life like? And you're poor. So you weren't even buttressed by the fact that you come from wealth, which helps insulate a lot of these issues because people kiss your butt when you got money. You see? So the discrimination he suffered, more likely than not, came from multiple groups of people. And that further complicated his experience. The Arabs looked at you like you're not white or black. The whites looked at you like you're not white or black. They got a lot of Caribbean folks over there. You're not white or black. You don't fit in, and you're an American. See? So nobody dealt with him. He didn't have any refuge. Think about that. Now, family can be the source of your strength, but it can also cause conflict. Differences in racial background between family members can lead to a lot of misunderstandings and a lot of tension. You got family members who have different experiences and perceptions regarding race, and that leads to conflict, the feelings of isolation within the family unit. You can't talk to your grandfather. He doesn't understand where you're coming from. Grandpa is not a black man. Grandpa is a white man. He might not even like black folk. He might not even like your daddy. You see? I'm sure there's a lot of biracial people out there, these people from two cultures, who can tell you stories of how one side of their family was accepting and the other side, not so much. And so when you got these biracial people, they feel as though they don't fully belong to any culture, and their families, they don't even feel like they belong to their family. And that leads to a sense of alienation. They feel like the other. Imagine growing up feeling unaccepted. Now, somebody type now in the chat room. Somebody type now. And as if I ain't been going, now I'm about to really get going. Somebody type now in the chat room. I need to know you're in here. Come on now. Come on now. We over here learning something. Somebody type learn you in the chat room. Somebody type learn you in the chat room. You're going to learn something. Now, Andrew Tate has dealt with a lot of controversy and a lot of legal battles. Now, remember, when Andrew Tate hit the scene, did any of y'all think that this man was black? Tell the truth. You didn't think he was black. You thought he was a cool white boy. Somebody type cool white boy in the chat room. We thought Andrew Tate was a cool white boy. Oh, he cool. Yeah, he's kind of corny, but he cool. You know, he's a white boy. That's pretty cool for a white boy. And then the word came out that he was black. Oh, wow. So now all of a sudden he's getting hit with these legal challenges. Somebody type legal challenges in the chat room. Somebody type Negro Wake-up Call in the chat room. Somebody type Negro Wake-up Call in the chat room. Now, I know this is going to be demonetized, but I need y'all to go ahead and get this good message. See, Andrew Tate's legal challenges served as his Negro wake-up call. And for you all who don't know, the term Negro wake-up call, it refers to an experience where Black people face situations that remind them of the persistent realities of racial discrimination and prejudice. And this is despite any of their personal achievements or whether or not they've been accepted by white folk. They may even felt, that they're safe in predominantly white spaces of society at large. But now they get the Negro wake-up call. And in this terms, it underscores a moment of realization or reaffirmation that regardless of your social status, somebody type social status, somebody type educational background, somebody type financial status, somebody type racial biases, they realize, man, they still exist. These racial biases and systematic barriers still exist. And so that's what this Negro wake-up call. Here you are thinking you've been accepted in this white world, OJ. All right, you've been accepted in this white world. You're good. We're all equal. And then bam, you get your Negro wake-up call. That's what Black folks mean. And so when Black folks say stuff like, yeah, you had not had your Negro wake-up call yet, that's what we're talking about. Now, the phrase is often used in the context of discussing African Americans or how African Americans navigate spaces where we are the minority, the racial minority, and we might initially feel accepted or insulated from racism, but due to our success or our integration in the majority white environment, boom, somebody type boom in the chat room. Now you're N-word again, all right? And what ends up happening is an incident occurs and you're subjected to, it could be racial profiling, it could be discrimination, or any sort of overt racist action. And that serves as a jarring reminder that the social acceptance is conditional or superficial. Somebody say conditional or superficial. You see, that's white folks' acceptance of you, conditional or superficial, okay? Now these legal issues, somebody type legal issues. These legal issues that Andrew Tate is dealing with, they serve as a reminder to Top G, to Mr. Bugatti, that he's still Black. Or should I say, he's not quite white enough. Somebody type not quite white enough in the chat room. In effect, this was his Negro wake-up call. He achieved worldwide success. And the next thing you know, he's being targeted. And now he's got multiple legal cases against him in multiple countries in Europe, including some real serious charge. Human trafficking. In addition to that, he got that EPAR. Somebody spell that backwards, EPAR, and human trafficking. And these legal battles in Romania and the UK, they're critical. They're going to determine his future, his finance, and his freedom. And if we go over, let's go back to him. Let's think about it. He had that issue with Big Brother. And this was an incident on this reality show in the UK. And Tate, he got ejected from the house due to a video surfacing that appeared to show him hitting a woman with a belt. Now, what color was the woman? It was a white woman. Okay, now a white woman. And, now both of them said it was consensual, but this was still considered controversial. The police investigated it and eventually they dropped it because they had insufficient evidence. All right, this is then in 2016, he had another one of those EPAR charges that was investigated in the UK. This incident was related to a EPAR that allegedly happened in the UK, and the investigation was made and it was dropped prior to the charges being filed. Okay, and they cited insufficient evidence to proceed. Now, this might have been before the whole world knew that this was a Black dude. Somebody type Black dude in the chat room. Now, in 2016, he was able to get away with this stuff that white gentlemen often can get away with. But by 2022, somebody typed 2022 in the chat room. He was arrested. Y'all remember that? He was arrested. In 2022, arrested in Romania, home of Count Dracula. And he's still dealing with that. Him and his brother Tristan were arrested in Romania on charges of human trafficking and once again, EPAR. And what they basically said they had formed an organized crime group that sexually exploited women. That's what it was. So now the whole world knows he's black. And let it be known that these are white women that these men allegedly were exploiting. And that's very important. Somebody type white woman in the chat room. Come on, somebody type white woman in the chat room. You got these two black dudes who've been faking white, right? Who daddy's from Alabama, Mississippi somewhere, and they are over here organizing and sexually exploiting these white women. Somebody type white woman in the chat room, okay? At this time, he had to go to jail. For how many months did he go to jail? 6, 8 months, something like that? You remember that? They made a spectacle out of it, huh? And the case is still ongoing. Now, the brothers have denied all the charges and, they're waiting for the legal proceedings to happen. But here's the thing. They took his cars. He was outside of his house for a minute. I guess he couldn't make any money. I know he got deplatformed. He got banned from all the different social media sites, like all on the same day. Now, he decided to fight back against one of them, and they filed a defamation lawsuit seeking $5 million, but that's not going to do anything because he is a black dude, and these are white women, all right? And they looking at the cumulative effect of what happened in 2016 and 2 incidents in 2016, and now he's over in Romania, and they trying to extradite him, or the British police. They got an arrest warrant for Tate, and this is 2024. They have an arrest warrant for Tate and his brothers as part of an investigation in another EPAR human trafficking case. Think about that. Somebody type cumulative in the chat room. And the Romanian court authorized their extradition after the conclusion of the Romanian case. But see, here's the thing. Here's what I want y'all to understand. So even if he's able to escape the Romanian court and not get in any trouble for that, they're going to send his butt to Great Britain. He's going back to England. I'm going back to England. You see what I'm saying? So my thing is this. Isn't it interesting that once the world found out that this cool white guy was actually a black guy, a biracial guy, it seems as though all these issues popped up. So as a result, so can we say, is it fair for us as black men who have this experience to say he was targeted? Is it fair to say that he had a Negro wake-up call and this is racial targeting? And what do we see now? And here it comes, y'all. Here's the nitty-gritty. Here's the nitty-gritty. What you see Andrew Tate doing is attempting to escape his blackness. Somebody type escape his blackness in the chat room. Escape his blackness. Let me turn my music on. I hadn't had my music playing because we about to get into the rhythm of it now. He's trying to escape his blackness. Y'all pontificate on that for a minute. Somebody, all my good spellers out there, somebody type pontificate. Y'all pontificate on that. Ponder on that for a minute. He is trying to escape his blackness. See, that white man is going to lock him up for exploiting them white women. Number one, he's a foreigner, but number two, more importantly, he's a black man. You see? Now, Andrew Tate is a hustler, and he's going to use his half-black card for support. You hear me? See, Tate has a black father, as I explained before, and he uses that as a shield to hide behind some of his racist rhetoric and to play the victim card. Now, he talked proudly about his daddy and his daddy's achievements, and he speaks highly of him. and how he raised him to be a man, at least I guess in part. But still, he talks down about his father's lineage. He talks down about his father's people, just like my people. Andrew Tate's daddy is from Mississippi or has roots in Mississippi. You see? But Andrew Tate talks down about his father and his father's family's people. You see? And if not for his people, or not for us, they still be in bondage. If there weren't black people that would stand up, these same black people, your father's people, your people from your history and your direct line received that message that came down around Juneteenth to let them know they were free. And you have the nerve to call it a ratchet N-word holiday. Those are your people that was freed from that. Everything that's cool about Andrew Tate is that you black. That's what makes you cool. Otherwise, you just be another odd London white boy that got bad teeth and bad taste in women. You see Andrew Tate now trying to pivot away from his blackness. Somebody type escape blackness in the chat room. He's trying to pivot away from his blackness with these anti-black talking points. He's trying to distinguish himself, even his embrace of traditional Islam. And I know we got some Muslims in here, but I want you to hear, when you heard he converted to Islam, you were like, okay, but it was a pretty interesting time, right? Right? For my Muslim brothers and sisters in here, it was a pretty interesting time for him to have converted to Islam, right? What I see that is more of him pivoting away from traditional religions of Black Americans. That's what I see him doing. He's further trying to distance himself from his blackness because he recognizes it as being a liability. And even if you look at the man, right, it looks like, okay, he's racially ambiguous, but he does look kind of Arab. And in doing and so by embracing Islam, it may be as though he's trying to mask his racial identity so he can get lost in the sauce. Somebody type "get lost in the sauce" in the chat room. Are you learning something today? Are you learning something? Somebody type "learn" you in the chat room. I know nobody else is hitting you with this, not in this level of detail. Andrew Tate's life has been marked by controversy. And he's faced a series of legal and social challenges, which what I see was his Negro wake-up call. And after being treated like an N-word, he realizes that regardless of his personal success and his money and his wealth and his social standing and how many cool nicknames he has, Top G, Mr. Bogatti, whatever, he's still subject to the racial systematic, or should I say he's still subject to systematic racial prejudices. He's still subject to this racial caste system. I see Andrew Tate as a hustler. Somebody type hustler in the chat room. He's a hustler. Some of y'all saying he's a grifter. No, he's a hustler. And his moral compass is suspect. And when it comes to getting money and evading trouble and trying to avoid suffering the consequences, he is a hustler. Look at the man's business practices. Look at his business practices. His business practices have been the center of debate regarding unethical entrepreneurship and blurring the lines between aggressive marketing and even potential exploitation. And based on what I see from this, I can conclude that this man is a hustler. I grew up around hustlers. I know a hustler when I see it. That's why I can tell y'all right here on the internet when I see hustling happening. And that's why you see me avoiding some of these errors and mistakes that a lot of these other L7 YouTubers make. They don't have my hustler's background. I grew up around hustlers. And for you guys who don't know what L7 is, put an L up and a 7 up, and you'll know what it is. For you guys who don't know, type square in the chat room. A lot of these dudes are squares. And a hustler recognizes, I recognize it. And these are the same. Here's the thing though. based on his character, it makes sense that he would try to use these same racial con games that blacks throughout America and the world have utilized for centuries to try to make their life easier, or try to make a life easier for themselves and prosper in societies with a racial caste system. Let's look at some of the stuff, some of his endeavors. The webcam girls. Somebody type white girls in the chat room. The webcam, he call it web girls business, right? Tate and his brother Tristan, they operated a webcam business where they employ numerous white women to interact, somebody write interact in the chat room with clients online. And this business has been described by some people as exploitative over these white women, and with allegations that it involved deceptive practices that try to maximize revenue and try to get these girls to con these men all over Europe out of money. These European men were not looking at black women, they were looking at white women. And then Tate and his brother apparently would reap the benefit of the monetary gains. Now that sounds like pimping to me. Somebody type pimping in the chat room. Somebody type pimping in the chat room. That's what it sounds like. Sound like you had them women out there turning tricks on the internet. Sounds like pimping. What does that say about his character? Hell, I'm saying he's a hustler. He had a whole online thing called a platform called Hustlers University. In this, he claimed to teach people, men, most likely, various ways to make money, including cryptocurrency, trading, copywriting, and stock trading. This man is not a lawyer. He has no financial education. And basically, it was allegedly, or the critics call it basically get rich quick schemes. You see? And, there was some questioning as to whether the validity or in the ethics of these methods taught. And the platform, again, they utilize aggressive marketing tactics. That's like when you go on vacation and then people try to get you to rent these doggone timeshare property. They're like, no, I'm not sitting in here for an hour and a half. You know, I don't want it. Okay. And so again, it encouraged members and affiliates to sell more of these different methods. And so that sounds like a Ponzi scheme. So you got pimping and a Ponzi scheme is sounding like going on. The next thing, they had a war room. And this was like some private membership group that Tate promoted. And it was a network for modern success. And members had to pay high fees to join and gain access and exclusive advice and networking. What are you teaching them? What's the actual value to your members? The truth is, the man was just selling image and fluff with no substance. He has no education directed towards that. You see what I'm saying? So, here's what I want you to understand. So far, what we have? We got pimping, Ponzi schemes, and no substance. Then they had this real world thing, which was a remake of this Hustlers University. And again, he's offering lessons on financial success and personal development. Personal development and what? You financial success on how to pimp 304s online. Personal development, selling a facade that has not even been tested. And I say it hadn't been tested because I told you this man's a young man. You see what I'm saying? It takes years to become a fully formed man, tried and tested. And then at that point, you have reached some level of wisdom that you know how to teach those who come behind. I mean, between that, you had something called a PhD Academy. It offers people advice and social, and it just recycle red pill content, more pimp tactics and manipulation, which typically only works for women with low self-esteem who don't have strong fathers in their life. So here's what I'm saying. If I've said nothing else, I recognize that the man is a hustler. Okay. Now he's a man, as I said before, if you look at him, unless he actually tells you he could pass for non-black, you see, kind of white-ish, somebody type whitish in the chat room. He maybe looks Arab or Greek or Spanish, right? Either way, Andrew Tate was accepted by white society, and he fell in love with being a white man. Somebody type falling in love with being somebody type a white man's life in the chat room. Andrew Tate fell in love with the white man's life. But see, now his status as a biracial person has been revealed. And you see the story ending in tragedy. Somebody type tragic mulatto in the chat room. And if we want to use that, this is analogous to a moment when the mulatto finds his tragedy. You guys who don't know about the tragic mulatto, it refers to some early 19th century writing where they talk about octoroons and people who are of African and European or non-African descent and how they work their way through life and then they get exposed. Somebody type tragic mulatto in the chat room. We learning something. You see what I mean? And here's the thing. Andrew Tate may have been unaware of his status, okay, before it was reduced. And these setbacks that you see him having to deal with, these legal issues, these served as a profound Negro wake-up call for Andrew Tate, a realization that, it could have driven him to either connect with his African-American roots or possibly become an advocate against systematic injustices that Black folk commonly face. But instead, after all of these life hits he's been taken as a result of his own activities, now he's looking for cover. Somebody type looking for cover in the chat room. This man is now pivoting away in a direction that appears to attempt to escape his blackness. Again, somebody type escape his blackness. Are y'all with me? Are y'all with me? Let me know if you're with me, because I done lost most of y'all at the door. You didn't keep up with this. Hit the number 1 button if you're still here. Okay? All right, hit the number 1 button. Let me know. Now let's move on. Let's move. I know you got short attention span, so I want to keep this going. In the aftermath of these various controversies, including the severe legal charges in Romania and the consequential social media bans that have disrupted his streams of income, Tate's response has been what? It's been different from what one would expect from someone undergoing such trials. Rather than using these experiences to foster a deeper understanding and solidarity with the oppressed people of the world who experience these systematic injustice, what does Andrew Tate do? What does Top G do? Instead, he starts jumping on Black Americans and called Juneteenth a ratchet N-word holiday. That statement is starkly in contrast with the interests and the well-being of the Black community at large. He has openly criticized Juneteenth, one of the greatest dates for Black Americans ever. It's a very significant day of freedom and a reflection for African Americans. And you refer to it as a ratchet N-word with the hard R holiday? See, this kind of anti-Black rhetoric is a clear attempt by Tate to distinguish himself from his African-American heritage. Now that pejorative, that rotten, foul name, that rotten, foul remark, it only alienates him from the Black community. But what he's trying to do is ingratiate himself with the far right group. Somebody type far right in the chat room. And we know them. They have an extreme disregard and actually an outright hostility towards commemorations of Black success and Black history and Black culture. They'd like to erase it and us if possible. And when we dig deeper, I see it to be true. Again, I recognize this man as a hustler. I see him for what he is. I think 50 Cent sees it too. A lot of other Black men who see it. I know Tariq Nasheed saw it. So when I look at his turn towards Islam, and I have much appreciation, respect for Islam and the great Prophet Muhammad, peace be unto him. But I have to interpret Andrew Tate's turn towards Islam as an attempt to redefine his identity. See, while conversion should be, or I guess it would typically be something personal, a spiritual journey, like we saw Brother Malcolm X and so many others. In the context of Tate, who again, as I see as a hustler in his public persona and the timing, somebody type timing in the chat room, the timing of his conversion, it raises questions about his motives. So we got his recent embrace of traditional Islam, which signifies a deliberate pivot from the traditional religions that predominate the African American community. We talk about Southern Baptist, Pentecostal, Methodist. This is what we do. And if you were going to be a Muslim, you go to the Nation of Islam or something like that. Traditional Islam is not something that most Black people embrace. Nevertheless, it appears to me it's an effort to find a new community. Somebody type new community in the chat room. It's an attempt by him to distance himself from the religions and the cultural practices traditionally associated with being Black. And this view, to me, when I look at it through my eyes, it's a shift, it's strategic. It's a strategic move to both escape the stigma attached to his controversies and to detach himself from his Black roots, which I guess he perceives right now as a liability, especially in his current situation. He can pass as Arab, right? If you saw the top G, Mr. Bugatti, Andrew Tate, he could pass as Arab, right? And this new religious identity allows him to blend in, or as some might say, get lost in the sauce. Somebody type get lost in the sauce in the chat room. And it gives him a new identity. It gives him a new racial identity, allows him to, and hopefully in his mind, he thinks he'll be safe. But truthfully, this distancing, it's just a denial of his heritage. And it appears again to be an attempt to reshape his identity entirely. And by aligning himself with a completely different cultural and religious narrative, Tate is attempting to reinvent his persona in the eyes of both his followers and his critics. And this maneuver, it just, you know, it actively disengages him from the struggles of from his community, from his historical community, and puts him in a space that he feels he might gain more acceptance and less scrutiny amongst all this legal turmoil. Again, he is a hustler. You see? He is a hustler. Somebody type hustler in the chat room. Okay? Now, what do I think about it? I think it'll fail. I think his activities will fail him. Because see, here's the thing, and I want y'all to hear me on this. When you abandon your people, you shouldn't be surprised when your people abandon you. I talk about that in my books, Rules to Live By. And what happens when you abandon your people and your people abandon you? You become an easy target for white supremacy racists. You see? Those same Africans who helped catch and enslave Africans, those same Africans who ran up into the continent and ran up into those villages and drugged those Africans to the shore and sold them on the Gold Coast, on the slave coast, they eventually ended up locked down in the belly of those same ships, right there with the Africans that they helped catch and enslave and sold. When Black men helped gain, fight, and win America's independence with the promise of freedom, it was those same white men who threw Black men and their families right back into slavery. We helped and liberate this country from the king's tyranny, and they promised us they would set us free. In fact, both sides promised they would set us free. There were Black men fighting on both sides of the Revolutionary War. And in fact, if you go to some places in Canada and some enclaves in Jamaica and the Dominican Republic, those Africans who helped fight on behalf of the English ended up in Jamaica. They ended up in places like Nova Scotia. And the rest of us ended up in slavery, in chains. Even during the Civil War, the war of northern aggression, as these good white folk down here say, The whites in the North promised free, hey, black man, if you come fight on behalf of the North, we'll set you free. And we did. We joined the side of the Union Army in droves. And then after it was over, they gave us 4 or 5 years of Reconstruction and 100 years of degradation and second degree, third degree class citizenship under Jim Crow in a country that we fought to hold together. So what's the lesson here, brothers? I want you to get in tight, man. Come on in for the huddle. But those of you folks who help white folk to get whatever it is they want to get, whether it's helping them get to the moon or helping them fight wars, when you help them fulfill their endeavors, you still remain the same target that you always were. You don't stop being black because you help white folks. You never stop being black. I don't care how much you sell out, how much raccooning you do. You'll always be faced with the underlying jealousy and the fear they have of you. You represent a threat that will never go away until they get themselves straight and stop being so damn scared of the rest of humanity. But that's not your problem, but you still have to deal with it. The other thing you have to understand is that white supremacy always breaks its tools. Somebody hit breaks its tools in the chat room. It's just a rule of thumb. Dr. John Henry Clark, somebody who most of y'all have no idea who he is, but he was a prominent historian. He was a scholar, and he was a key figure in the development of Africana studies. And he often discussed the mechanisms of oppression and the dynamics of power in historical and contemporary context. Now, hear me out. I don't want to lose y'all. I know who I'm dealing with. But here's the thing. One of the most powerful concepts that he articulated was the idea that white supremacy always breaks its tools. And this statement, it encapsulates a critical view on how systems of oppression, and particularly white supremacy, utilizes people and groups to maintain control, and then discards them once they're no longer useful or if they become a liability. And the concept of white supremacy breaks its tool. It refers to the exploitive nature of oppressive systems that use individuals, just like your black behind. And often those same marginalized communities, it uses them to uphold and perpetuate the system. Look, white folk couldn't hold you back if you unified. But as long as they can come in and divide and get you to do that, it works. And these individuals use as tools, in various ways. Division, they use individuals, they use folk from marginalized group, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, to enforce or support oppressive structures. They put you on the wall to keep your people back. The Romans did it, they do it too. The Romans would draft people from these so-called savage tribes, the barbarian tribes. They bring you in, put you in the army, and use you to fight your own people. That's going to sow division. They pit the men against the women. The women, they got to fight less people. What that does is weakens your opposition's ability to organize and resist. Look, there's a lot of politicians out there like that. Here's another thing they do. They will elevate certain people that can serve to distract from the systematic issues. Somebody type systematic issues in the chat room. Somebody type systematic issues in the chat room. They'll elevate somebody to distract you from the fact that system-wide, black folks are targeted by this judicial system. And what they'll do is they'll put a person up. They'll have you focus your attention on the isolated success story or some sort of controversy around a specific person. In other words, they'll say, you know what? Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Look at Michael Jordan. Look at Oprah Winfrey. They did it. And they're pointing to some isolated, individual, random success story. And hell with this systematic where we purposely do this and hell with the GI Bill being denied to black people. Look at Michael Jordan. Okay, but what about this? What about this redlining over here where you're not letting black people or you're telling all the banks not to loan, make home loans to black people who live in this certain area or people who live in this area and we know it's a black community. Oh, well, no, don't worry about that. Look at Oprah Winfrey. You could be successful like her. My parents can't even rent a house. How can we be successful? You see, that's a distraction. The other thing is endorsement. Now, I want you to listen very closely to this. Okay? Somebody type fresh and fit in the chat room. Somebody type fresh and fit in the chat room. Hello. Listen to this, endorsement. See, white supremacy works like this. By co-opting members of oppressed groups, the system gains legitimacy. And they can argue that they're not oppressive because it includes members from the very groups it subjugates, like foreign blacks. Hello. Somebody type foreign blacks in the chat room. These foreign blacks have taken over this role. They got them saying stuff that they know white folks can't say. And all the white folks listening to me, you know I'm telling the truth. I bet not ever hear no person tell me that racism doesn't exist anymore in the United States of America. Because every time you do say racism doesn't exist, some racial happens. But they can get these foreign blacks to say it. They've willingly taken up that role. And Tariq Nasheed has been on them like a lean tick on a sick kitten behind that. Somebody type tether in the chat room. Now look, this young man, fresh and fit, Myron is what he calls himself. He's an African from another country, so he fits the bill. He's an African from Sudan, and he's constantly attacking foundational black Americans. But this is nothing new. He's playing a survival game. This is he's playing a survival game that N-words have been playing since the first enslaved African felt that crack of that whip across the back of his backside. That's what he's doing. And then there's always that one on the side and say, yeah, boss, them words, they deserve a whooping, boss. That's him. So he's playing that game. This is the same man that wore a KKK hoodie on a live stream. This fella is friends with Nick Fuentes and Sneeko. Yet it was Kevin Samuels who put him and the other dude that's with him on. They put him on a map and blew him up. If anything, he needs to be thanking black Americans, especially Kevin Samuels, for what he did. What did he recently say? Again, he continued attacking foundational black Americans and saying that black Americans are dumb. This is what he said. And to brother Tariq Nasheed, to his credit, confronted him on that and blew him up in the debate. The man's name, he calls himself Myron Gaines, but the truth is his name is like Amrou Fudl or something like that, and he calls himself Fit. Look, his family fled from the Sudan. The Sudan is a failed state. And this man has the audacity to come from this failed, struggling nation to come to the United States of America, where you have the richest, most successful, most educated group of Africans that have ever existed on this planet, who helped build this country, who fought in every war in this country. And you got the nerve to come over here and you won't smoke with us, and we're going to give it to you. Now, the thing you need to understand about this young man is he is half Arab. His father's Arab. His mother apparently is Sudanese by nature, but genetically, she's Afrikaans and Sudanese. So he's mixed, triple mixed race. Now, the thing about this young man Nobody in his childhood thinks or thought he was black. It wasn't until he got on social media and started saying the N-word that people gave him a pass. But what does this do? Just like Andrew Tate. What do I think? I think he's a hustler. I think this man is an opportunist. Now look, I'm not denigrating all my brothers from Africa, all my brothers from the Caribbean. Okay, Africa's a large continent. I'm not even talking about all the folk from the Sudan. Matter of fact, half the people from Africa, a lot of them are not even black. They're in Africa, but they're not black. Many are Arabs. At that top part of Africa, from Morocco all the way to Egypt, they look like Myron or lighter. Nevertheless, Mr. Gaines, his bloodline is not connected to foundational Black America. He's disconnected from the plight because it's not his. He hadn't even gone about immersing himself in Black culture or history. You see? But he, like so many others, they love to benefit from tethering themselves to foundational Black Americans. Somebody type tether in the chat room. Somebody type tethering in the chat room. It's like we got a ship that we navigate through troubled waters. And then they latch their little buoys and dinghies onto our ship as we move through, and they reap the benefit. But we're out front. Myron, I've seen him a little bit. He has no backbone. He folds in the presence of white men. He thinks when they talk, and they talk about blacks, they not talking about his black behind. He thinks that he don't think they talking about him when they're there. And they say it right to his face. Because you're too dumb to see it, Myron. They laugh at you behind your back because you're clueless. You got the nerve to talk about my homeland. Here in Black America, you got the nerve to talk about my people. Let's talk about your homeland. How dumb are the people in your homeland if they're living below poverty, without sustainable sources of food or water, constantly in war and strife? Why don't you go over there and fix the issues that your people are facing in their homeland? Go help your people. Your parents fled to the United States of America, and you have the unmitigated gall to stay up in black folks' faces talking fly and popping off disrespectful. Even the Arabs view y'all as dumb bottom feeders. And you got the nerve to come over here and talk about my people, some of the greatest people that ever existed on this planet. You come from a third world country and you have no standing to disrespect foundational Black America because these white folk didn't want your black behind over here in the first place. It was black people in the 1980s through the Congressional Black Caucus that said, yeah, let's start allowing people of color, specifically Africans, to come over here. You big dummy. Somebody type big dummy in the chat room. And you're dumb behind, you keep opening your mouth and it's cost you millions of dollars. That's why you got your channel deplatformed in August 18th, 2023. You lost millions of dollars, you big dummy. You got the nerve to call us dumb. This regal, beautiful people who have overcome so much. Some of the strongest people in the planet, the innovators of this country. Everything great and cool about Black America, about America comes from somebody black. The audacity of you who leaves your homeland due to war, famine, poverty, to come here for better opportunities created by foundational Black Americans. And you have the nerve to disrespect us? You don't even realize the sacrifices that our people made to make it possible for your black behind to come over here. You big dummy. You wouldn't have had a chance with the Department of Justice. without the foundation, without the sacrifices of foundational black Americans. Most of y'all who over here right now, you would have got folded like clothes if you had to go through what we went through, what our people went through. You don't even part your lips to say anything bad about Europeans and Asians and Arabs, do you, Myron? You ain't said nothing, huh? Your people flew over a lot of countries to get here. And they stopped here. Now, I've been to plenty of countries. And I lived in a few briefly. And it never crossed my mind to disrespect those native people who were there. I never disrespected them. I never talked bad about them. I damn sure didn't call them dumb. Even if they were being disrespectful, it's their country. You're the reason why more black men and black women are voting for Donald Trump. We want to send your behinds back to where you came from. And this is why brothers and sisters need to practice separation and delineation, just like the Africans do. They open with it towards us. And we're going to do it until you learn some damn common sense. We need to stop allowing these folk into our conversations, talking bad about us. And we need to do it on a regular basis. It's like the Bible says, they need to take care of that wooden beam in their eye before they worry about the speck of dust in ours. They need to sweep their own front door before trying to sweep around the door of black Americans. And we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Y'all hit the #1 button, man. Y'all show me some love by helping me get to 70,000. I only need another 200 subscribers. And once we do that, it'll be on and cracking. Y'all make sure y'all give me the 70,000. Hit the #1 button. We will be right back.
I want to see you win. And I put pressure on us men to understand how we did not get our masculinity training. And we have been doing our work, okay? But now it's time for you ladies to understand you're going to have to bet on us like you want us to bet on you. I talked to several.
I said, here's my $250,000. I want this to air there. So I didn't have to kiss no butt. I know I wasn't. Damn sure ain't gonna put on the dress. And wouldn't let my sons do it. If we don't own it, we don't have nothing to do with it. Either we're the shot callers, because we're not gonna be in, or we're not involved.
Dennis go back like 2 Chainz. He graduated law school, I graduated in the boot gang. In the courtroom, I'm Uncle Luke, man. Got me banned in America, they loot me like Lupe. On the cell block, call me Luke Cage. Dog man hero, he the new babe. Cause Joe Black ain't like my black. We built this motherfucking country off of our back.
No more money for you. You working. No more money for you. It's lazy, you lazy. You lazy!
Get the out of here. Shut the up.
You run your mouth, we lazy, where you top at? You got ops getting paid off of our tax. Black pressure, we created hip-hop, yes sir. How you bust a bus, had to dress up. Time to come to check up. Since we taking niggas, rude boy need to fess up. Don't call us when you tell us get the hiccups. Hold your nuts, fight back, the clean shit up. NBA hit them, rock and roll, jazz music, hip-hop rhythm. I cosplay like a rude boy, get them. Harriet, Rosa Parks, even Shirley Chisholm. Even Shirley Chisholm? I reckon lineage, a runner, you love to kick it. We delineated, escaping niggas who wicked. My black is the black that they hate to see when we winning. Your black is the black that they bleach to look like the villain.
Here's a picture of what my skin used to look like. Damn. And this is what my skin looks like now.
Shut up, you stupid.
Because all you do is complain, complain, complain.
Yo, black, nothing like my black. It's all my got my back. Harriet Tubman, train track. 400 years, still ain't got the change back. Yo, black, nothing like my black. Listen, King, Uncle T, you know the top back. Big Bass know the game, take you out back. Imitation me a rush, you know my black.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
99 biggest promises Biden made to people, he's only following through on about 30% of them. One thing America doesn't forgive is weakness. They want to see you fighting for your goals. And on some key issues, Biden seems to be waving the white flag. He just looks weak, and I'm not talking about physically. People want to see their president going to the mat to get what he wants. And it doesn't help that anytime Biden does take a strong stand on something, his staff comes out to say he didn't mean it.
I'm up real early to fall for the same politics I plus it's early. You talking ain't money, you need to burn it. Voting from the couch, watching dinners and all the spurlers. You with my earnings. How many times you gotta pull the same Democratic trick? Banana in the tailpipe. Since Obama like dreaming of eggplants and bananas, please tell him get his tail right. I need a friend that can stand on business I can give a damn about on the race. If you're scared, pick a grave and lie in it. Dealing with it, faced it. How the bottom of other countries come to where we live and elevated like tomorrow. But you ain't got no reparations for me, but got billions for immigrants to borrow. Soft genocide Chicago. Them dirty ooze up in New York. Them race baiters down in Texas. And Memphis smoking us like a Newport. So swing games is a new sport. Deleting us through your politics. We playing ball on a new court. America, come out of it. Yo, black, nothing like my black. It's all my got my back. Harriet Tubman, train tracks. 400 years, still ain't got the change back. Yo, black, nothing like my black. Listen, King, Uncle T, you know the top hat. Big Bass know the game, take you out back. Imitation me a rush, you know my black.
Just like a culture is like a computer program, there's a frequency by which things occur. And when you have a defective culture that is, and it's been like this since we were in the motherland, a divisive, argumentative, conflict-filled culture, there's always going to be opportunity for division unless you change the actual culture. Some of the brothers say you got to change the code, you got to change the actual culture. There are always going to be incidents that we can focus on to keep us divided.
I'm your king.
There you go. I like that clap. Woo! Not bad to be light skinned, huh?
Yeah. Welcome back to the broadcast. I hope everybody's enjoying this. Big shout out to everybody who contributed to the super chat and the cash app. I'll put your names up there. So thank you so much, guys. But look, let's go ahead and continue with this lesson, man. We learning. I've got this. Look, man, I'm hitting them with these hard facts. This is necessary. Somebody type necessary in the chat room. Somebody type necessary in the chat room. It's necessary. All right. So we talking about these biracial, these mulattoes, these tethers. We have had a very interesting conversation thus far. I'm not finished. I got a lot more food for you. We're going to feed the masses tonight. The title of this broadcast is When Tethers Attack. And we're talking specifically about Amrou, Tate, and Myron Gaines of Fresh and Fit, because it's necessary. You got a lot of Africans and a lot of Caribbeans think it's safe to come over to the United States, and we're going to have a whole lot of influx of them coming over, and they are off code. Whether they're overseas or whether they're here, they are off code, and we see them using the internet to say disparaging things about Black Americans. But at the end of the day, as our great leader said, Dr. John Henry Clark tells you, white supremacy always breaks their tools. Now, what many people who quote this man will not tell you is the breaking process. And we've seen it happen before, but I have it broken down into certain stages so you guys can understand. So here's the thing. Once black folks, or it really any other racial, whether it's black, whatever, any non-white person, once that individual have served their purpose, or when they begin to question or resist the oppressive structures, or their people turn on them, and they no longer carry any influence. Because remember, once you serve no purpose to your people, all right, once you serve no purpose to your people, the white man had a very good way of getting rid of you. You understand? And so for all you sellouts and we'll say squirrels and raccoons and chimpanzees, once you sell out and your people say, yeah, you have no more influence with your people, then guess what? You get discarded, you get vilified. And this is how the breaking process goes. First, you begin to suffer reputational damage. And you will see the individuals who no longer serve the interests of white supremacy, they might find their reputation suddenly under attack. They get subjected to public discrediting, or even worse. We've seen that happen. Bill Cosby, O.J. Simpson. Come on, think of some names. Who else? They started tagging them. Oprah Winfrey. For years, she carried that mantle, sat up there and talked bad about black men especially. And then guess what? She didn't serve a purpose anymore once we said, we through with you. And guess what happened? She began to get, she started suffering. How about this? A withdrawal of support. The institutional or financial support is withdrawn, leaving people exposed without the means to continue their work or protect themselves. We see that happening too, right? You think you got this white covering all these white people like me, right? You're black behind was fooling nobody. The only person you fool was yourself. And the other thing, legal or political backlash. We see that happening all the time. In many cases, the legal system, okay, which has a lot of oppressive structures, they use to punish and silence these folks. Now, look, here's the thing. We see this happening with Donald Trump. So that people can no longer say, the legal system is is blind, justice is fair. But we see it happening to Donald Trump, and now you see white folk and white media acknowledging. Most black people, we might not be able to fully articulate our observations about the legal system that we've experienced or have friends and families experience. But we know it happened. We see it happening. Now, Donald Trump is an old white billionaire former president. Okay? His life is never going to be like ours. I don't expect him to understand us or our suffering or what it's like to be targeted. Okay? Or have to endure the full brunt of the legal system without being able to pay multi-million-dollar attorney's fees. Nevertheless, what you see him going through is the legal system targeting somebody, which happens 100,000 times a day throughout the courts of the United States. Now, that generally is how the breaking process works. We see it happen to actors, name the black actors that you see getting targeted. Name that suffer reputational abuse, a withdrawal from support, legal political backlash. Name them. This is the breaking process. As I say in one of my songs, the Lord giveth and the devil come and take it away. Jonathan Majors, right? Now, Dr. Clark's insights, it urges a reflection on the roles that these folk play within the larger system of power and oppression. You out here letting yourself get used. You foreign tethers and you biracial folks, you allowing your upbringing, your dissatisfaction, and your confusion about who you are, right? And so now you're easily enticed to come on over here and talk bad about black men and black women. Foundational black men and black women who set the trends for the rest of the Africans around the world. We are the tip of the spear. And they use you to attack us. That's why that lets you know we're important. See, here's the thing. Dr. Clark's insight, it challenges both the oppressed and the oppressor to consider the long-term impacts of their actions. See, Myron Gaines doesn't really know what he's doing. He's a young man. He's a young idiot. Somebody type big dummy in the chat room. He's a young dummy. He doesn't know. He thinks he's just being an opportunity. He's just trying to get this money. Same thing with Andrew Tate. They're just trying to get this money, man. And they're allowing themselves to be exploited. Get the bag. You don't think the get the bag culture has affected black men and biracial, but they all want to get the bag. And if they got to throw foundational black Americans under the bus, they will. But my thing is, for our community, it's a call for vigilance and unity. And look, we need. I'm here to encourage you to resist and recognize that you need to resist, and also not allowing yourself to be used as tools by this oppressive system that's worldwide. And for people who are in power, this is a critique of your exploitive practices. And you all so-called you seeking justice and equality for everybody. Look at what you're doing. You using this big dummy over here, Myron Gaines, to do your bidding. And YouTube, you still let this man be on YouTube saying these horrible things. Well, you got rid of him, but he's still out there saying stupid stuff. Nevertheless, here's the most important thing, fellas. Somebody type integrity in the chat room. You can never sell out, man. You have to choose how you respond to your Negro wake-up call. If you want to play on that side, if you want to go over there, you want to play with them white folks, eventually you're going to get a Negro wake-up call. And your legacy is going to be determined by how you deal with it. And your legacy is going to be told by your people. So despite what your black behind thinks, despite all them white folk that follow Andrew Tate and Myron and whatever the boy's name is, black folks are going to tell your story. And by my account, those who side with the oppressed against the oppressor, they don't fare well in the history of legacies. And we got some examples. Look at Candace Owens. She is known for her quote unquote conservative viewpoints. And I use the term conservative loosely because you don't have to be a damn fool who says anti-black racist things to be a conservative. But her comments oftentimes criticize, or she literally criticizes the notion of systematic racism and police brutality, which we know exists. They used to have signs up. Why would you not think it exists in this country? But nevertheless, when we look at this woman, many people in the Black American community, see her as being antithetical to the interest of our struggle. Clarence Thomas, U.S. Supreme Court, but his various positions on civil rights issues have harmed the African American community. And his judicial opinions often align with the quote unquote conservative aspect. And I'm not, again, I'm using conservative loosely. It's really more far right anti-black side. And it's unfortunate because the man didn't start off that way. And I still have hope for him, but I'm losing hope. Ben Carson, I love Ben Carson. One of the greatest neurosurgeons that we've ever had. A brilliant story, great movie, inspirational. Former Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under Donald Trump. But his political stance, his comments on race, including downplaying the system of racism and, and some of his policies, they haven't benefited the black community. In fact, someone would agree that it's harmed the black community. And those are just some politicians and judges and whatnot. You even look at Terry Crews, the actor. Some of the statement he made related to the black community, it was interpreted as him not sufficiently standing up against racism. Okay? Now, some of the more famous tools that we see broken, somebody type Stacey Dash in the chat room. Somebody type Stacey Dash in the chat room. This is an actress. She's a former commentator. And she's been openly critical of a lot of Black empowerment movements. And, she even advocated eliminating BET, Black Entertainment, arguing that it segregated Americans. And she just wants us all to be together with white folks. What if we want to be by with our own people? What if we like historically Black colleges? What if we like Black neighborhoods with other Black people? What if we like that? You don't want white folk to come live in our neighborhood. You want us to go live with them. What if we want to live where we want to live with our people? What if we like that? But now look at what she's dealing with. 2019, all that selling out. She was arrested. Her fourth husband. She got hit with a domestic battery charge in Florida with her husband, Jeffrey Marty, messing with that white man. Now the charges got dropped, but guess what? Well, all them white folks at now that she was catering up to and playing the sycophant. You just got enough. You thought you was gonna be the darling of the white right, and all you got was negative media attention. That's a breaking. You're also dealing with financial troubles. You see? She was so bad, she had to get a public defender appointed to her case during her divorce. I didn't even know they did that. So that's a really good example of somebody playing the game, and you see what happened. Look, there's some people that's lined up to get broken. And whether you consider yourself a friend of white ideals or not, you're still a threat. You got a lot of sports figures for some reason. And two dudes that come to mind, Jason Whitlock and Charles Barkley. Jason Whitlock is a sports journalist, and he's known for taking really controversial positions related to race and racial politics and sports. And, I understand why a lot of Black folks criticize him for some of his comments, especially related to police brutality and his criticisms of prominent Black athletes. It just seems like they're coming out of nowhere. And for what? And all you're doing is just making yourself a target. Charles Barkley, notorious. You guys know him as a former NBA player, and now he's a sports analyst. And he's made various statements that are very dismissive of the concerns of the Black community regarding racial injustice and equality. And his comments, they spark debate as to whether or not his viewpoints align with the interests of mainstream America, or they're just, from his own personal perspective. Either way, bro, you're setting yourself up to be a broken tool. And then there's a fella, he's an attorney general out of Kentucky, Daniel Cameron. He got hit with some serious criticism for his stance on the Breonna Taylor case. And many activists and people in the Black community felt his actions reflected a failure to hold law enforcement accountable, leading to accusations of him being a sellout. Look, I get it. He's trying to play the game. But you're setting yourself up to be a broken tool, man. Kanye West, another one. Need I say more? You doing too much, Kanye. You're doing too much. Yeah, you might have some mental health issues, but you got that white woman walking around half naked all the time. Kanye, Yeezy, somebody type Yeezy in the chat room. Kanye, you cannot have that white woman walking around naked. They are going to come get you. And then you got the nerve to make these controversial remarks about slavery. Now, I can dissect it and make sense of it and kind of see where you're coming from. But typical Black folks are going to say, oh, no, we're not with him no more. And once these Black folk turn their back on you, you become a target, sir. I get it. You're trying to stir debate and you think you smart and all that. But a lot of black people just see you as out here raccooning and squirreling and rabbiting. And you're going to be next on the tool breaking line. Another fella, Sheriff David Clark. Is he even a sheriff anymore? You know the black dude that comes on TV with the hat, the cowboy hat? Either he's a former sheriff of Milwaukee, known again for supporting these conservative policies, criticizing black activism, often at odds with the black community. You see? Anytime black folks are pushing for police reform and racial justice, here he comes. Bro, you're setting yourself up for a tool break. And I think, didn't the IRS come after him or something like that? Look, I'm not saying bad things don't happen to people. I'm just saying, even if you are on the side of white folks, when you get too powerful, they come for your butt. The richest black man in America, I forget the brother's name now. He's my frat brother. They came for him. He wasn't bothering nobody. The minute he said he was going to spend $40 million paying for the tuition of those black men in Morehouse, all of a sudden they came for him. When you're too powerful, it doesn't matter. Like I said, you could be helping the slave catcher catch the slaves with your black behind, and you somehow end up at the bottom of the slave ship with the slaves you helped catch. That's what I'm trying to say. So why be a sellout? If it's already a threat and it already can have, why alienate your people from you? That's right, Robert F. Smith. Another fella, Larry Elder. This guy's a conservative talk show host. He ran for governor. And he faces a lot of criticism from his positions about systematic racism, which I guess he doesn't believe exists. And a lot of the issues, positions he takes are contrary to the greater interests of the black community. So my whole point is, family, look, when you turn your back on your people, you got to expect that your people will turn their back on you. Folks like Myron Gaines, you a foreign tether. Folks like Andrew Tate, you biracial. Y'all need to pick a side. We can't just keep letting you go out here saying these things and not be addressed. Here's the thing. Are y'all still with me? Let me know if you're with me. Hello? Y'all, you still here? I lost a lot of people. I know I lost a lot of people. But I think this is an important conversation. We've journeyed through some complexities of racial identity and the pressures that black people around the world face. You see? And the strength that lies in our shared experience. Remember, success, it doesn't require you to compromise who you are or where you come from, fam. Embrace your heritage, stand with your community, and being true to your values. They're not just noble choices, they're powerful ones. Let's be clear. Selling out, throwing our own people under the bus, these are not paths that lead to lasting respect or success or legacy worth having. These are actions that betray our heritage and our future. And so as far as I'm concerned, I advise against such choices because history has shown us, me, you, that there's no positive outcome in abandoning those who look like you or those who share your struggle. The respect and success you gain by those activities, they're fleeting and they're hollow. So as we move forward, let's commit to building success by being leaders in our communities, champions for causes that are true to our identities. Let's practice integrity. Let's practice unity. Let's practice dignity and self-respect. Somebody type self-respect in the chat room. See, we rise by lifting ourselves up, not stepping on others that look like us. I need you black men to stay strong, stay focused. And remember that your integrity, somebody type integrity in the chat room. I want everybody to type integrity in the chat room. Old Myron from Fresh and Fit think we all dumb. Somebody type, all my good spellers out there, type integrity in the chat room. Our integrity is our greatest asset. See, integrity would have prevented black folk from selling other black folk into slavery, no matter what the price was. See, you can't buy me. Let me say that again. I want y'all to hear me. You can't buy me. There's no amount of money that you can buy with, because money don't move me. I'm interested in my legacy. I want you to hear me again. Uncle D, Dennis Sperling, is interested in his legacy, so you can't buy me. Money don't make me or break me. I've had hundreds of thousands of dollars at my disposal, and I would be up in my room, sleep, because money don't move me like that no more. I want to see the well-being. I want to leave this world better off for my people, better off for all people. And what's good for my people is good for everybody. I want to leave this world a better place for my children. That's who I am. That's why I can come to you every night and speak straight. You don't see me change with the wind. I support black men on this page because I know without strong, positive, law-abiding, upstanding black men, we don't have a future in the black community. Now, I'm going to take a point of personal privilege. I ain't said much about this in the last couple of days, but I'm going to take some time to say this. Y'all know Uncle D, I go hard on these Pookies and Ray Rays, don't I? I go real hard on them. But that's my people too. The degenerate ones, that's my people, and I go hard on them. But when I see a brother trying to do well for himself, whether he be an electrician or a plumber, somebody type, "You don't qualify, Queen," in the chat room. If he came from nothing and he's doing better by himself, I support that black man. Number one, I am not gonna hold him hostage to his past if he's trying to do better. Somebody type, "You don't qualify, Queen," in the chat room. What I'm not gonna do is jump to conclusions. If the black man tells me that he plans to do something or that he is this person, I'm gonna believe him. Now, there's been a situation with his young brother who appeared on the balloon pop show, and I know I'm deviating from the message, but that's okay, it's necessary. I don't want to give this a whole, dedicate a whole hour to this. The young man's name is Aaron Sloan. Somebody type, "You don't qualify, Queen." I've never spoken to him. I haven't interacted with him. I don't know this young man at all. But the man came on the balloon pop show. Some women said some really nasty things to him. He responded to them. Each and every time he said, "Hey, you don't qualify, Queen." Somebody type, "Yeah, I don't qualify, Queen," in the chat room. Apparently, a lot of our lovely ladies took offense to that. And so they went out of their way to get him removed from his job. I know the name of the business he worked for because one of his co-workers is one of my subscribers. And he let me know. I also managed to Google this man's license to be a plumber, which is right here on Shape Phoenix, which says his name and tells you when the license is good for, from 2/21/2024 to 2/21/2027. And it says he's a plumber, a gas fitter. It's right there. But you got people who want to castigate this man. Some of y'all gonna get sued. You off code. Just like Myron Gaines and Andrew Tate. I seem to be the only YouTuber on YouTube that's willing to stand up for this man. That's what I mean. I support brothers on this page. I don't care if you was a Pookie and a Ray Ray back in the day. If you're doing well for yourself, you staying out of trouble, you being a law-abiding citizen, Uncle D is 100% all the way down with you and your success, black man. I want to see you ball. I want to see you ball, and I want to see you do well. Because if you're doing well and you're living well, I know that my sons are safe. Because there's nothing more dangerous to a black man than an angry black man who is out there and not happy. He's going to take his pain and anguish out on you. So of course I want to see you do well. Somebody type, I want to see you ball in the chat room. This is what I want to see for you. I don't want to see you out there doing bad. And I'm not going to be participating in disrespecting you. People kept saying, oh, Uncle D, you need to fall back off of that. No. He's out there doing it. He's taking the money. No, we gave him that money as a flex. Somebody type flex in the chat room. And the money I'm referring to, I'm talking about that $14,000, $15,000 he asked for. He didn't ask for it. He asked for $1,000. And I personally came on in and said, hey, I want y'all to contribute to this man's channel because the story needs to be changed. We need to go from the narrative of lovely ladies get black man fired to black man come to the aid of black man. Now, unfortunately, the lovely ladies have contacted YouTube, and this is from the brother's page. This is his real Instagram page. Your transfers are paused while we verify your fundraiser information. What does that mean? That means the little money that he got from us donating to his GoFundMe account has not even been sent to him. That's what that means. That means him having a good time at that Rick Ross concert in Arizona. That was his money that he spent. And yet y'all calling this man a scammer, saying he took folk money and no. But you're so quick to castigate black men. So all of you folk out there who sat up here and co-signed and kiki with me and said, yeah, that's right, Andrew Tate is wrong. That's right, Myron Gaines is wrong. Y'all just like them. So quick to castigate and down black men. The nerve of you to talk bad about this black man. And yet you want to sit on here with me and co-sign. It's easy for me to point out the sellouts over there. I'm talking about the sellout in your mirror. That's who I'm talking about. The sellout in your mirror. You're so quick to denigrate other black men. Always saying we scam. You are the problem. Andrew Tate is you. Myron Gaines is you. Look in the damn mirror, brothers. That's what you need to do. We got a young black man who loves black women enough to go on this idiotic balloon show. They disrespectful to him, and he still calls them queen. He gave what they was given. And now y'all want to tear him down. You black men want to help tear this other black man down. Because you want brownie points. And I'm talking to all you YouTubers who are listening to me. You're doing more destruction than you are helping. You're doing it for points. You trying to help destroy a man's life for likes. Queen of accountability, my ass. Where the money? You say he wasn't a plumber. You say, where's the money? Huh? We seen his plumbing license. You said it, there it is. Somebody's gonna get sued. Y'all keep playing with these people. If that was my little brother or my son, you'd be getting sued. You'll be getting sued. So before y'all talk about the sellouts overseas or the sellouts down in Miami and Fresh, if you look at the mirror, because all of you all lack integrity. If you're willing to sell your brother's reputation down the road and disparage him without having all the true facts, that's some real house Negro stuff. Because all you doing is fulfilling the white man's goal for you all, and that's destroying each other. And that's all I got to say. I'm out.
In this Berlin podcast, hit the like button, subscribe.